Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm trying to fix my phone here. Today, I thought we were going to talk about a subject that was brought up to me by Zan Vast. He's like, Sonia, could you please just kind of nutshell what you see for our past history in this simulation? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. As you know, if you watched my other videos, I'm very fascinated by these mud flutters or flat earthers or whatever you want to call it, because they've come across a lot of information that I find just fascinating. And I can look into this stuff and it's like, oh, it gives me places to go and look. The other day, I was talking about being in the woods and I was on this path and all this brick wall started coming up. Looks like it's been coming up slowly over time because a lot of it's still buried. And I can see parts of it coming up. So I picked up one of these bricks and I bring it home. I used to make concrete for stuff, projects around my house and hobby, what have you. And it's normally pea gravel, sand, and a half a bag of mortar mix. And that's how you make concrete. And then, of course, you have your ratios to make it. And I used a concrete mixer because we were doing big projects. And I love working with the earth. So I'm one of these people that when I had to put a roof on my house, I got up on my roof and started putting a roof on because I love working in physicality. I just love this stuff. When I went to remodel my home years ago, my husband and I had gutted it out. We did all the work. We did the plumbing, we did the electric, we did the siding, we did the roof, we did everything. And I just love that kind of thing. So anyway, I digress. I did bring one of the bricks that I saw home. I took a little piece of it because you don't want to be carrying around bricks, they're heavy. But basically, this is the brick. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's not, there's no sand in here. There's no pea gravel in here. It's got a red hue for some kind of probably clay or something. It's got, you really can't see it, but if I took a light and shined it on it, it's got all kinds of crystalline material in here. And it's like, this brick is solid when you hit it. Like the brick that we have today, it's very, sounds like glass when you throw it down. It's because of what it's comprised of. And even in the brick that we make, we don't really put in the pea gravel, but we put other materials in, and it's a different density. This thing is extremely heavy. And the brick that we make today is not heavy, and it shatters. If you throw it down, it shatters. If you throw this down, it's not shattering. So it's a lot denser, compacted, because just throwing it down, not shattering, and then throwing a brick of today down and it shatters into many pieces. There's a huge difference in the density. So I'm very interested in that. Of course I am. But I digress again. So I started looking back at our fake history. Believe me, it's pretty darn fake. I saw at one point that we're in a crater. And inside of this crater, it was intentionally flooded for the civilization that was before us, who were highly advanced in earthen technologies. And I had done a video on it, on the pyramids. It turned out to be the pyramids, but it was actually about them, the Ark of the Covenant and Pandora's box. So please go watch that video. It's a little interesting. So then I was watching, let me see if I can say this right, Autodidactics with Campbell. And he did a video the other day where they have places in this snow globe where the correct amount of minerals and water can actually turn things to petrified. And they came up with the theory. He didn't come up with it, but other people have come up with the theory because of the ability to petrify things in a matter of a couple of months. That at one point, this snow globe was underwater. So I already had saw that this snow globe, a lot of it was underwater, which is the whole Noah's, story, whatever, except it's not that far back. Everyone seems to think, oh, it was all this time. No. The time frames have been completely lost. I had a remembrance where we were living under the ground. I will say this. when I look at the society that was living under the ground, who went there to get away from this flooding scenario, they were all white people. Well, you can call them white, my color. Because I'm not really white. I've never really met a really black person or a really white person. We just kind of categorize them. It's like saying Orientals are yellow. No, they're not yellow. Or American Indians are red. They're not really red. It's just a further way to divide humanity. It's ridiculous. We're all human. But I did see that this group of people, these Caucasians, were the ones that went underground and had the former technology, and they were also ruled by quite deviant beings, that's all I can say, who had an agenda. Anyway, I digress. These beings that are quite deviant and satanic, just Kabbalists and AI driven, are the ones that are and have been in control of this snow globe. Looks like to me, when I go back, this entire flooding event was engineered to eradicate the people that were here. Before that, I see all kinds of different beings here from the bigger earth. And of course, that's where your extraterrestrials come from. The bigger earth are the corporeal ones, the ones that have a body. The non-corporeal ones, which is just energy beings, come from outside of this entire, like Martin Kinney says, cosmic egg. So as I'm looking at that and I'm seeing that the agenda was only ever to overtake the beings here, it's quite horrific. We need to go back to point one, square one, and reassess everything. You know, this whole thing with carbon dating, it really needs to be thrown out the door too. Because if you can carbon date something that's petrified and say it's millions of years old, and literally it was only done in a couple of months, there's something seriously wrong with the entire carbon dating scene. Of course there is. It doesn't hold water anymore. It won't stand on its own. Carbon dating, don't buy into it. Don't believe it. Throw it out the door. It has no relevance anymore. The minute you can petrify something, it's lost its relevance. So this whole thing that our reality is millions of years old, no, it's not. So when I go back to the beginning of Gaia, I had done another video on it where I saw her being diminished, of course, by the Archon. This did not happen very long ago. Our perception is exactly where they wanted it to be. Their story. So history, of course, is his story. Whoever wants to make it. It's not true. I would like to talk about the beings that are from the bigger earth also. And where did these beings go that created the utopia that this used to be before it was overtaken by the Kabbalists, the satanic Kabbalists and AI? Looks like they moved several places. They went down into the inner earth, and they also went, of course, outside to the bigger earth. This was actually handed over to us by these beings, these giants, if you want to call them that, because they are giant. And it was given to us as a fresh start, a new beginning, like a settlement that was handed over. And of course, then it was manipulated. So this whole thing of where did they go? Oh, they're still here. They're either in the inner earth or in the bigger earth. And I find it very interesting that they've been watching us this entire time to see what's going to happen. Are we going to stand up? Are we going to fight for ourselves? What's going on? So, just interesting. So where do I go from here? Okay, when I'm looking at this stuff, I see it at different points. So it's like, but there's some time in between. So in the very beginning, we'll just call it that, when this snow globe was first developed into the snow globe that it is, the giants really basically ruled here. But before the giants ruled here, and I'm calling them giants up to 30 feet tall, there were other things before them. I had done a video where I saw that we were downsized for an experience of a reality. What it was like to live in a smaller ecosystem. So basically, I remember when I was a child listening to Gulliver's Travels, that book, Gulliver's Travels, where he went to this place where he saw these people that were real small, and they were called the Lilliputians. Basically, we're the Lilliputians. Yeah. So at one point, our technology was definitely earthen technology, which was far more advanced because the earthen technology resonates with inside of us, and we were not shut down on a mental, physical level, which if we go back and we look at the human being and this shell that we're in, it has been diminished on many, many aspects, all of it mentally. When you start off with a child and you begin to tell them from day one, you cannot do, you cannot go, you cannot be. It's a mental diminishing. If you didn't know, you couldn't do and see and activate all of this, it would be much easier to do it because you wouldn't have the belief system that you couldn't. And literally, it's as simple as that. You have been so indoctrinated and ingrained in the belief system that you really can't do these things, that it's your own self-limitation. And the fact that, hey, they have been genetically manipulating us also, disconnecting our heart from our mind. So you need those two to manifest. I did a manifesting video. Please go see that. And also shrinking our pineal gland, which is a great big helper. It's like when I look into these bodies and I see where they were and how they've been diminished, it's quite sad. I will give you one example, and everyone can test this out. Why do we have wisdom teeth? I mean, most of the time we're having to get them ripped out because our mouths aren't big enough for these wisdom teeth. And I thought this was very interesting. So I went back and I saw that at one point we had several sets of adult teeth coming in, because at one point we lived to be extremely long. I mean, we could live to be 600 years old. And you're not going to have one set of teeth for 600 years of existence. It's not enough. So it looked like at one point we had at least 6 sets of teeth. These wisdom teeth are a remnant of our 3rd set of teeth, and all the rest have been completely eradicated. So I found that very interesting too. It's like, why do we have certain things in our body we no longer require? An appendix. What was that for? So one day I'm like, I wonder what these things were for. And I was talking to Zanfast, and he goes, what do you think about an appendix? What was that for? And I said, I really don't know. So I went into it and I looked and I saw that the appendix was actually for eating a certain type of vegetation that would be highly toxic. But because we're in this part of the snow globe, or we're in this crater, we don't have access to that vegetation. So we no longer required that appendix, because the appendix had a purpose, and it was to take the toxins out of that type of vegetation, which was out there. Now, if we ate that vegetation, I don't even know if our appendix would work, and that's if the people even still have their appendix, and that could kill us. So what else do we not need because of our scenario of living in this snow globe? Let's see, our wisdom teeth, our appendix, trying to think if there's anything else that we have that's pointless and useless. So it's just interesting to me. It's almost like parts of our body are atrophying because we no longer need them or use them. And that would be the appendix, the wisdom teeth, whatever have you. So yeah, I found it very interesting about the lies, the manipulation. I do know that when I look into why we have drugs and alcohol, that a lot of it was introduced to further separate us from our being, because when you are under the influence of alcohol and a lot of drugs, You are not your ultimate or your prime being. It separates you. It detaches you. I'm not saying that, yes, you can do marijuana and ayahuasca and things like this, but I'm talking about substances that have you addicted. When you lose control of who you are in this reality, and you lose control of this being because you're now dependent upon something, it further separates you from your abilities. It's a control lever. I'm going to hand you this alcohol. You're going to become addicted to it, and that's all you're going to focus on. I got to have it. I got to have it. And you don't focus on other things. So this place has been given all kinds of addictional things, gambling, drinking, whatever. You can probably put a plethora of things on this. And it's all to sidetrack you so you're not here and working what you are given in this reality, in this body. So that's very interesting too. So when I go back and I look at this stuff, I'm always veering off into all these branches. It's like a tree with 1,000 branches and then 1,000 branches on those little ones. And it's really hard to focus on the whole tree. So very interesting. Very interesting. So yes, basically our entire history is a lie. This snow globe at one point was underwater, a lot of it. There were pockets of humanity left. The Caucasians were under the ground and then brought up at a time where it was thought to be much more safe. It was all done deliberately to wipe out humanity and start over and have total and complete control. This entire snow globe was given to us by the giants, and it was done in love. It was done in love to give us, humanity, a place to exist and call it our own. And look what's happened to it. It needs to change. It's changing now. So I guess that's going to be my video for the day. And I'll be looking into these things again. All right, everybody have a great day. Bye.